Greetings and hallucinations, ladies and lads. I am Chancellor of the harmonious frequencies of the mighty Empire of Onion, and this is Kenshi. Well, we're trying to get this iron refinery upgraded. The assassination dummy construction has been completed at the outpost. Wonderful. This is hopefully the last video with post-recorded commentary over the top of it. And hopefully the next video will have regular recorded commentary like they normally do. But yeah, I've got an hour's worth of footage here to cram into one video. So I'm going to try to edit it down as much as I can to make a reasonable sized episode. We'll see how it goes though. So I will be cutting out a bit. If I remember correctly, not a ton of exciting stuff happens at this point. But yeah. Let's take a look and see what does happen. We're trying to get the airlocks completed to see if the enemies can phase through 2 gates or just 1. It was brought to my attention by Dunstan that sometimes they don't like to walk on those walls, so we may have to put in some new ramps. But here's the dummy that was built, the assassination dummy. And it is hilariously discovered that, yeah, Pink Wave is stuck back behind here. I don't know how she got back there to get stuck, but she's there and she's stuck. So I have Keckers come over and pick her up. Poof, pulls her right out and she's fine. Put her down and let's go about our business. Perfect. Still working on walls. We've got beds made. It looks like these beds are kind of backwards, or their heads aren't towards the wall. It's not the worst thing that could happen. I'm not bothered by it really at all. I've slept with my head towards the hallway before, and it's not that big of a deal. I don't know why I normally like for their heads to be next to the walls, but it seems right that way. But yeah, the Meatmen are just about healed up enough where we can send them out to do some shopping and stuff. Lunardic is the last one that needs to really heal up, so he is resting right now. And then after we send them out, we'll have beds aplenty to rest up other folk. I'll try to alternate their sleep patterns so that they can not be leaving any jobs undone. So now I'm going to go ahead and unload some of the Garu here, so that we can have space for finding food and stuff. This Garu I'm going to leave here at the base because she has a bunch of food on her already, and I would like that to be available to this main squad of folk, because I'm pretty sure they have been eating food from the Garu, and that's how we haven't been starving. But yeah, the Meatmen Garu has a little bit of dried meats and fish on her right there. So that will be very helpful on our travels to go buy more. And yeah, it looks like inventory management for a bit here. So we're going to get that done. And then bring y'all back when we've got something more important to talk about. Alright, got a few things sorted. I went ahead and unloaded a bunch of Cufflink's medical supplies into the medical chest, which combines them, as we saw last episode. Pretty excited about that. Iron Refinery 2 is up and running. Refining iron, so that's very good. I'm upgrading this to Iron Plates 4, the research, so that's pretty exciting. We'll be able to upgrade the iron refinery to level 3 and increase its output a little bit more. It's taking 20 power, which is pretty significant, considering that each of the wind turbines is roughly 25 power produced. I think that's at 100% efficiency too, so yeah, I may be building some more wind generators pretty soon. Yeah, so we can see here, I was planning on going to Blister Hill to do some trading with the Holy Nation, but we have a pretty significantly reduced relationship with the Holy Nation faction. I couldn't figure out what that white dot is either. I still don't know what it is. But yeah, there's another one there as well. There wasn't any assault coming for us or anything like that, so I don't know why they're there. But yeah, we were going to try to trade with them. That's the reason why I arranged Meatmen to be all white men, was because we knew that the racist Holy Nation would not mess with them if we went in there. Unfortunately, though, with this aggressive sort of a reputation with their faction, I'm not so sure anymore. So we may need to not bank on dealing with the Holy Nation, and the Meatmen may have to go travel further than originally intended in order to actually get us some food, which is, you know, kind of sad, because that means that they're going to be eating food as they go. Here I'm trying to decide on a faction name. We still aren't named. The base isn't named. Dunson has brought this up a few times, and hilariously, every time I get into the game, I somehow forget. But here I was asking, if you have any ideas for faction names, let me know down in the comments, please. And yeah, we'll try to find the most upvoted comment for faction name will be the one that we choose. Try to keep it clean, though. Nothing too risque or perverse or anything like that. And even if some name that is that way gets upvoted the most, we'll go for the second most popular one. Whatever isn't terrible. We're getting some of the construction done, which is pretty awesome. I've arranged a bunch of the inventory. We have some clothes on the Garu that are meant to be sold. Some things that I've been hanging on to since way early in the game that we should have gotten rid of by now. But I kept expecting to recruit more dudes and never did get around to it while we were in different towns and things. I think the number of folk that we have right now is okay, but we definitely could do with some more people, especially to help out with the bread making and grain grinding, things like that. And yeah, with the upgrades that we've been making to the stone and iron production, fewer workers are required on those machines to get the same amount of work done. So I should be able to reassign some of them to new jobs that will help to balance out the workload a little bit. So yeah, you can see there, that was the Garu that we were going to trade with, I'm pretty sure. So there was quite a bit of armor and things like that on her. But yeah, we'll get that done. Armor storage construction complete. They aren't prioritizing building the airlocks for some reason, and I'm not sure why. But yeah, it's not the end of the world, because like I say, we don't have any assaults coming at us right now that we know of. So we're not in like any desperate need for getting the airlocks complete. And then here I'm just kind of annoyed with the auto arrange, so I'm manually arranging, which is fine. We do still need to find some more engineering research though, and yeah, get that hunted down and acquired so that we can do more. I really do want to get into hashish production, and then the watchtowers would be great for overlooking the airlock area, so that we could maybe use 1 or 2 harpoons to cover that entire zone, including the outside of the outside gate. I don't plan on everybody being trained in crossbows or turrets, so we'll see how that balances out. I'm not taking the gurgler eggs in for now. They're not super expensive, and honestly, I can't figure out why I took them all, except that I'm a hoarder. And here, there's some weird glitch where they kind of weirdly stack for a second, but they don't really copy each other. It seems like they're multiplying, but some of them that you can see there aren't really there. We find out later when I try to pick them up. So those kind of stacked. These kind of stacked on the others. Yeah, it's a really, really weird bug. Weird glitch. And I'm trying to get more of them to stack, but they don't seem to want to. So I stack them up with these last 2 stack of stacks, and then put that down. Then I can start picking these other ones up, and they do some disappearing, if I remember correctly. Yeah, so here they just kind of stack into each other, but they aren't stacking. They're just erasing each other. Really strange behavior. I've never seen anything like this in the game so far. And now these didn't want to stack at first, and now they're erasing each other. Down to the last 2. And then that one's stacked, so that one still existed. And now it doesn't. And now these 2 don't want to stack for whatever reason, but they do both still exist. I theorized that maybe the stack of 10 was the max stack, and that's why they wouldn't go together, and that we do actually have 11 of them. So there's that. The King Gurgler head I could take in to sell somewhere. It's worth a lot of money, but again, I'm a hoarder, and so I haven't been doing that. I'm trying to consolidate the weapons and armor and stuff like that into weapon cabinets, armor storage, and all that too. So all the stuff that we're keeping and not selling, just in case we do get some new recruits. I may do that with the Meatmen while we're out running around. I may grab some recruits while we're out there. So if you're not in the game already and you want to be, drop your name down in the comments, and I will happily add you to one of the squads. The Meatmen at first, and then once we get home, I'll rearrange it so that we have some folk working at home. We need farmers, and we need, yeah, more people for turrets probably. I'll find some other jobs for us to do as well. We may need some more miners for collecting copper and stuff too, but oh, crafters too. We'll need all kinds of crafters once we get back, because I plan on doing some large amounts of crafting in the next couple of episodes. I'm definitely considering ending the series relatively soon. I still want to do some big things, right? I want to try to assault a city, maybe even Blister Hill, the Holy Nation town that's closest to us. And I know it's going to be tough because there are so many dudes, but yeah, I want to eventually try to take over a town, or even just destroy it, more or less. Kill everybody, all the guards and stuff in there. But here I'm trying to expand our vegetable crops, so that we can have more cooked vegetables. Those are the easiest things for us to prepare right now, and the fastest and most abundant food source that we have at our disposal. Of course, the bread is better. Being able to grind the grain and make the bread, though, is very tedious and takes quite a lot of work, while the cooked vegetables is just the green fruits and some water. So yeah, trying to expand our ability to create more of that. Yeah, the bed construction is coming along nicely, and I have been keeping along with Smish and Darker as they harvest the wheat to collect it up with Robin and Robert and throwing them into the new fields to be built, so that we have 6 total wheat fields instead of just 3. Completely doubling our production. They're all extra large fields as well, so they'll be very productive. And this definitely means that I'll need to get another grinder in order to process that amount of incoming wheat. So yeah, we'll be looking to do that later. I don't end up doing that in this recording session, though. Spoiler alert. Because that's a very important detail, you know. Yeah, so there's a bunch of stuff here that I've heard is useless. It's not used in crafting as I thought it would be. Especially if we were making like robot parts. I figured that we would need, or skeleton limbs and stuff like that. I figured we would need skeleton parts, robotic components, CPU cores and all that kind of stuff. Or power cores, I think. CPU units is what they're called. Skeleton muscles, obviously, I figured would be used in skeleton limbs, but not so sure. So I decide to grab up several of those to load onto the Garu and take those as items to sell. I foolishly didn't keep track of which ones were stolen and which ones are not, and that's a very important thing to consider when I'm selling them to people, because the value will be heavily influenced by that little descriptor in there, which is pretty tragic, but it's the way that the game works, and I understand, you know. I don't know how someone that you're fencing an item to would know that it's stolen from somebody else, unless it was stolen from them specifically or something. And I figure after a load of time has passed that it's been in your inventory or your possession, you know, possession is 9/10 of the law or whatever. You would think that eventually it would, the stolen aspect would go away, but I don't think it does. Yeah, so I'm getting ready to go. I'm giving all of Robert's goodies to Robin there to make sure that our inventories are pretty well cleared for the Meatmen, turning their jobs off so I can get them gathered up together. And you can see I really emptied out Cufflink's medical supplies there. So yeah, we're loaded up. We're ready to go. We don't have a lot of things to sell. It's mostly a couple suits of armor and a couple of electronics, but it's enough. We have tons of money as well already, so we don't need a lot of income. Yeah, walking through the incompleted walls and stuff. Lunardic was out there mining, so he's having to run down. We're all healed up and ready. Yeah. The graveyard. Oh, man. There's a lot of blue and green items in there that would be pretty valuable for us. Either to keep as armor to wear or to sell later. So I'll keep that in mind. Yeah, one person each for these structures is pretty good. And so we have 3 people doing tons of work over here now. But I feel like we don't have enough iron plates coming in, and so I will eventually set up a blueprint for another iron refinery to go down. So like any mad scientist, I've decided that we have to experiment. Even though I saw on the map that Blister Hill is red, that our faction is negative with the Holy Nation, and you can see here they're red as I mouse over them, which means they're aggressive. We're going to get the Meatmen caravan, and we're going to run over here to Blister Hill and see if we can go inside. Yeah, the guards here are turning red as I pass over them. But you never know until you test it, so that's my plan. Yeah, we're completely surrounded by enemies. We're right in the middle of Holy Nation territory, our outpost. Maybe north of the middle, but only slightly. The Fogmen are surrounding Mongrel, so I considered that very briefly before looking around for better prospects. Hing isn't a bad run. Yeah, the Nomads, the hub, that area isn't a great idea because there's not much left there. World's End turns out to be the one that I will decide to go to. Yeah, the hub still, for some reason, the bartender is dead. So there's a little shop outside of the hub. Oh man, yeah, hungry bandits, but I'm not worried about them. I decided to try to lead them to the Holy Nation caravan, which is probably one of the reasons why the Holy Nation despises me so much, because I like to troll them like this. And yeah, I hope that they get distracted by them. The Garu is very slow though, because it's carrying all the armor, and those electronics are incredibly heavy, the CPU units especially. I didn't bring any AI cores, but those are also incredibly heavy. Great for strength training, but not great for running away from enemies. They don't seem to react very well, but yeah, once we get a certain distance away, it does work out, which is pretty hilarious. I love doing stuff like that. Some of the hungry bandits are still trying to chase us, but we're plenty faster than them, even with the Garu heavily laden, so we'll be alright. I queue them up to head up to World's End. I don't know if they'll follow the river or not, but it seems to be the quickest way to get there. So I will be somewhat micromanaging their track up through that way. Yeah, eventually the Meatmen do find themselves being chased by some random hungry bandit here still. It kept with us, I assume, from that first group, but it's the only one. I turned headcannon off of range so he doesn't shoot us in the back. I don't know how Psychopathic got so far behind, unless I accidentally didn't click on him when I was trying to highlight everybody. Because he is faster than the Garu, so he should have been with everyone else. But yeah, no problem. Took it down. Easy. And we're over halfway, I think, to World's End, so nearly there. Yeah, after scaling the windy mountain path, here we are. World's End. The glorious sculptures. Where are you going, Garu? Not sure why they took off over to here. I guess that's where I clicked when I clicked on the map to send them up here. But yeah, it's time to go into the bars and the shops and see what we can sell. What we can buy as well. There he is. The old barkeep. Paste is his name. Interesting. He's still got some goodies that we must have sold him before. I can't imagine that they were trading in Holy Nation gear amongst themselves. I feel like it's been years since we were here before. But, yeah, I figured that they would have turned over this inventory by now. We're buying up their bolts because we're incredibly low, regulars and heavies. Obviously, Koth is the one who uses regulars. I decided to sell them to all these teeth and claws that we picked up. And, yeah, start taking a look at the prices here. The markup is 91%. It's worded confusing to me because if it says markup, I expect it to be marked up, and it's not. 91% is lower value. 102% is higher value. So we got an increase of price for those. And for these generator cores here. 116 for that one. And you can see the huge difference in the stolen one as well. He's got the cash for it, so I go ahead and sell those to him. And then we look over these as well. Yeah. Not super valuable. I didn't really look at the value. I was just looking at what we had the most of at the base and decided to sell those. I only just now realized these are stolen. This one is. And so the markup price is pretty low on it. We will not make a profit off of that in this town. But we still have a ton of money. 75,000 is nothing to sneer at. That bar didn't have any food. I assume it's because we bought out all of their food last time we were here. And I'm not sure that we have much to look forward to at the rest of these bars here. Unless I wanted to buy some of the more expensive foods, like food cubes or meat wraps and things like that. This bar also is out of food entirely, though. So nothing to look forward to there. I didn't realize that all of the shops in a single town would have the same price for everything. But I go ahead and sell all of this stuff to them because I don't think that that's going to get marked up or down based on rarity or whatever. I think the price is what it is no matter where we go for those. These are more like trade items. So they will be more valuable in a different town, and I hang on to them for that reason, so that we can find a better price for them elsewhere. Thankfully, though, in this town there are a ton of bars, a ton. So I'm hoping that we have better luck finding food in some of the other ones. The skeleton shop, yeah, I just sent the Garu by himself there. We need people who can speak in order to trade for some reason. Stupid game. That's a bug, clearly, you know. Yeah, they have a bunch of goodies here. It wouldn't be a bad idea for me to get cactus, because we don't have a cactus farm yet, and that is one thing that I would like to get. I'm taking a look at the books, too, because we're actually low on books. Just plain old, regular old books. And those are easily purchased at any store. So I considered getting some of them at first, and now I'm looking at the cactus for the purpose of getting a field. So I go ahead and grab some of those. Seems like a good purchase to me. And now I have everybody selected, so we could just run into the next place and take a look around. I waited for a second to get the Garu closer, in case it needed to be within trading range. Much of the same. He does have food, though. He's got dried meats, which I go ahead and buy, because those are always the cheapest. He's got bread, meat wraps, and I consider buying the bread just to take it home, to make food cubes and meat wraps of our own out of it. But, yeah. It turns out to be a bit more complicated than that, because apparently my people will prioritize eating breads over dried meats, which is pretty inconvenient for me. Yeah, and another thing that's inconvenient is the size of this backpack. If it was just one more block wider, I could fit another row of bolts in here. That would be much better for one of my rangers to be using. So yep, they don't have much else that we need. They've got toothpicks and long bolts, which aren't anything that we'll use. So yeah, I decided to have Robert carry the regulars, and then Headcannon will load up on the heavy bolts. And so I trade them back and forth between them. This next bar is a lot of the same, almost exactly the same. A few more backpacks and bedrolls, but yeah, heavy bolts, breads. As you can see, I am loading up Lunardic Wolf with meats and breads here. I was hoping that if I put it in his regular inventory, he would be the only one who eats them. instead of, if you're in a squad and you have food in a backpack or on like this Garu backpack, yeah, they will eat food out of backpacks in a squad. But if it's in an inventory, only the person who has it in their inventory will eat them. So I was hoping that that would slow down our consumption of the bread items. But yeah, it turns out that they eat pretty quickly. And like I say, they focus on that one thing if it's slightly higher nutrition value than the other item. So yeah. I wish there was a way, like in RimWorld, where you can limit drug intake or food intake and stuff like that. I wish there was a way to do that here in Kenshi, so that I could restrict them to just dried meats and be able to take other fancier foods home. So yeah, this place is full of limbs, and I'm looking around at what we may need or may not need. Specialist arms sound pretty good, but this thieves backpack here is going to be a huge gain. Especially, I'm going to end up getting this and giving it to Headcanon because of exactly what I was complaining about earlier with his small thieves backpack being one square too narrow to fit a large amount of bolts. Yeah. So this is when I decide to do the deed. Throw it in there. And if we open it up, it's obviously bigger on the inside than the small thieves backpack, and it will nicely fit several more bolts than the small one does. I was taking a look here. He's got a trader's backpack large, which allows things to stack, but these regular large backpacks will not do that. The wooden backpack, I think, does. I can't remember if it does or not, but yeah, I decided against buying any of these other backpacks. Going ahead with these maps. And now that I think about it, I don't think I read those, so I need to try to remember to do that next time we go in. But yeah, these ration packs, they should dig into pretty heavily, and I was hoping that that would keep them off the bread as well. So, since it's in a backpack, hopefully they'll focus on the ration packs instead of the breads. But I'm not sure if that's how it works exactly. That's just the impression that I've gotten from playing this amount of time. I still don't know a lot about the game, but yeah, still learning, always learning. There's an armor shop, which I don't care much about. There's also still an archery shop that we will go to get some more bolts, because I want to be absolutely loaded with bolts before we head back, because we're running out of those at a pretty speedy pace. We should not be using quite as many of them if we have the harpoon turrets set up, right? Because during the assaults, as they begin, we'll be using the harpoon turrets more so than the crossbows. The crossbows will mostly be like for running around doing stuff. And then, yeah, if the enemies are able to glitch into the second level of the gate, we'll be using the crossbows to shoot on them from there. It took me a minute to figure out how I needed to arrange this so that we could unload those. Probably longer than it honestly should have, and I'm a bit embarrassed about it, but yeah. We got it sorted, and I'm getting the bolts distributed to Headcanon, who will be using them, of course. Yeah, so this small thieves backpack is now available, and I may have to give it to somebody else. I think everybody here has a pretty decent backpack, though. Even the small backpack has a little bit more room than the thieves one, but the thieves backpack has fewer reductions on combat abilities or something. Maybe it has the same amount of space as the small backpack. Yeah, it appears to be roughly the same space, and just better combat modifiers. So now Robert has yeah, better combat modifiers, which is good and bad. He'll level up slower, actually, without the reductions to his skills. But it's alright. He'll fight better. So here we're all loaded up on bolts, but I took a look at Koth's crossbow here to see what it was looking like, because I was considering getting him a different one. Right, that one fires, I think it was still regular bolts, but it's considerably better The thing that finally turned me away from actually buying it is the required skill. There you could see is 80 on this one. And the required skill is only 60 for the one that Koth currently has. His skill and crossbows, however, is not even 60 yet. And so he's not getting the full damage accuracy bonuses from that crossbow as he could be getting. Yeah, I looked at Crossbow Smith incorrectly first, and I was like, level 1? That can't be right. We have 55, so he's very close to being level 60 in crossbows and getting the full benefits from his current one. But I know this is going to take a long time to get him leveled up further beyond that, to 80, of course, to try to use that other one. So I decided against buying the expensive, better one. And headcanon, I can't remember if I checked on his crossbow. I really should have, though. Well, that's about all the shops here at World's End, so it's time to take a peek and see where else we could go. Stoat seems like a reasonable distance and should have some pretty good stuff, so I sent them that direction out into the desert. Now, I feel like we didn't pick up enough food here to take back with us to make this a profitable trip or whatever, and we still have quite a lot of stuff that we could sell as far as those other electronics and things, so there's still plenty more that the Meatmen could do before they return. I'm checking if we have any bread at all, or straw flour or anything, and right now we're almost completely out of food and materials to make food as well. This is mostly because I've been expanding into making more wheat fields, so all of the wheat that we've been harvesting for this harvest has gone into making more fields instead of being used to make bread. So that's part of it. And yeah, I throw some of these foods onto this Zark's backpack, and I believe I take those over, to the food barrel. And this way, everybody, Koth and Darker, who are on a different squad, will have access to these foods as well. Yeah, immediately. They just swarm it. They love that Gohan. So that's working out. The water tanks are almost full, which is fantastic. I was worried that we didn't have enough water before, but now we have the 3 wells, and people are working them almost all the time. So we are stocked with water. Some of the fields don't have water in them right now, but that doesn't have a huge effect. Like, I think it slows the progress or halts the progress of the fields growing. I don't think it actually damages the crops or anything like that. I could be wrong about that, so don't quote me. And don't run your farms without water for extended periods of time based on that information, because I could be completely wrong. I feel like we could do with some more iron plates. We have tons of building material production going on, and this is a Mark III iron refinery, so I throw it down, and we're going to be preparing to construct that one. The airlocks aren't quite finished yet, so we will be trying to get those completed soon, and hopefully that will increase our defensiveness. I'll also be throwing down some more harpoons and things like that. This old river raptor has wandered in here, but it will be perished soon. As soon as it starts to chomp on our crops, somebody's gonna drop it. It's already in critical condition, so. Poor little beast. There you go. R.I.P. in peace, buddy. So yeah, that's going to do it for this episode. If you want to catch another one, be sure to subscribe. Consider supporting my channel by becoming a member or through the Patreon link down in the video description. And feel free to check out any of my other videos or playlists that you might be interested in. I thank you so much for all the time that you spend on my channel, and I hope blessings of wisdom and peace on all of you. Farewell.